is so many misconceptions. It's a very controversial topic we have for you today. This is the Real Nurses Talk Show. We're going to be talking about the world of vaccines. Let's get started. Just your host, and we have some truly wonderful nurses from Multnomah County here in Portland, and we're going to go down so you can introduce yourselves to the audience. Is that okay? And you are?
My name is Suzanne.
Suzanne.
Nice to meet you.
And you're a nurse with the county?
Yes.
How long have you been working there?
I've been there for 13 years.
Oh my, that's pretty awesome. You love your job, I bet.
I love my job, absolutely.
And you?
My name is Irina, and I've been with the county for about 6 years.
Okay. And?
My name's Frances. I'm the Director of Nursing Practice for Multnomah County Health Department. I'm also a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
Oh my goodness.
And I work in corrections health.
So, we're going to have you back for a corrections show.
That would be fabulous.
Okay.
I would love to come.
Okay. So I have to say that when I got an email saying she was coming, I was beyond impressed. I was thinking, oh my God, the director of nurses in Multnomah County is going to be on my show, yours truly's show. How fantastic is that? And she's not coming alone. She's bringing other fabulous nurses with her. So we're really honored to have you all here, and we're going to be talking about vaccination because it's such a very important topic. Would you agree? So I was wondering, before we even get started, I could ask you, what are vaccinations?
A vaccination is something that we fortunately have the ability to use now, nowadays, to protect the community from various diseases. And it's very effective and very safe, and something that's been perfected over the years. And as a result of that, now a lot of the diseases that we used to encounter no longer exist or are very rare.
Yeah, and that's all thanks to vaccinations, right?
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, and just based on what you have said, if diseases are very rare or they have been eradicated. For example, I'm thinking like diphtheria, and people probably don't even know what those diseases are because, well, they're not around, right?
Absolutely. Another great example of that is the chicken pox. You know, I encountered the chicken pox as a young child, and now that's something that other children now in this generation aren't going to experience. In addition, they won't have issues with shingles. So, I mean, it's just, it's a win-win situation.
It is a win-win situation. So you're hearing people are thinking, okay, we've eradicated all of this stuff. Why should we be immunized then? Why do you think?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
So if we think back to early 1900s, measles, mumps, rubella, varicella, polio, diphtheria were common infections back then, and they've caused multiple complications. For example, measles, people that developed measles, they could have complications such as an ear infection, pneumonia, encephalitis. With rubella, I mean, it's a mild disease in children and adults, but if a pregnant female contracts rubella during her first trimester, 90% of the children born to mothers like that had complications. They had heart defects. They might have been born deaf or other different complications. With chickenpox, that we just talked about, before its introduction in 1995, it was a common infection. And everybody got it by the time they were adulthood. But at the same time, it caused over 100,000 hospitalizations. And there were always fatalities associated with that. And so with polio, back in the 1940s, there was a pretty big outbreak of polio where 35,000 people were paralyzed or
Oh
had
my
some type of
goodness.
paralysis.
Yeah.
And so, but since 1979, I believe the U.S. hasn't had a case of polio. It's still, it's not a common disease, and at one point in time, it was almost eradicated.
Right.
But that caused people to think, oh, polio is not a big deal anymore. Why
Right,
vaccinate? We
right.
don't see the disease anymore. And so and certain individuals chose not to get vaccinated, and thus we've seen more polio.
So we're having a resurgence now.
In
Oh
other
my
countries,
goodness.
yeah. So,
Okay.
and even though some individuals here choose not to vaccinate against polio. So if
Did they
someone,
did they say their reasons why they choose not to? Is it just because the diseases are not around, or are there other reasons why they would choose not to be vaccinated?
Well, a great classic example is what we were just talking about at the beginning of the show. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And for example, you know, you were talking about common occurrences with or a correlation between vaccine administration and specifically autism.
Autism.
And
Yeah.
again, it's a misconception. There is no research out there that links immunizations to neurological disorders like autism. So
Doesn't it just frustrates you when you hear all this information over and over
Yeah.
and over? People just spreading. I mean, one thing. I mean, it gets me really quite upset too, because I'm thinking people really want to know. They want to know what the right decisions are for themselves and for their family. So, but then they look to sources that they trust or sources they think cannot mislead them. And just that people are out there in the media saying, "Oh, autism is going. Vaccinations are going to give your children autism, so please don't get vaccinated, or it's going to cause some other devastating disease or something like that." And I find it so frustrating too, and which is why we're doing this show, because people have to have a place to go to where they can get the correct information about all these diseases. Correct. If a child becomes sick in a community, and there are people there who have chosen not to vaccinate their children. So, for example, here is it mandated in schools here? Do you know vaccinations?
I'm sorry?
Are vaccinations mandated here in our schools?
You can
In,
get
like, preschool,
exemptions. There
you
are
can.
exemptions available. I think the percentage of exemptions in Oregon is going up.
Oh my.
unfortunately, it is. Non-medical exemptions, yes.
yes.
So New York State just literally mandated for all preschoolers and stuff. And I would think that would be great, but we have exemptions, which means that if somebody has not been vaccinated and they contract some disease and they go to the school, what will happen?
You can have an outbreak,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And again, we're seeing more outbreaks in certain disease processes because the vaccines, the rates are declining as a result of those
Right.
exemptions. So,
And I think one of the keys for nurses and for the health department is the educational component.
absolutely.
I don't think the people who absolutely refuse and don't want to hear about it are a huge percentage. There's a lot of people who are kind of in between, really wanting to have their kids vaccinated and really not wanting to do it. And those are the people really to focus on and
Right.
educate about some of the things
So they
that
can
we've
make an
talked-
informed decision.
Yes.
Right. So, since people are already talking about side effects, are there any side effects of vaccinations?
So the most common side effects with any vaccine is someone may have pain at the site of injection. Sometimes you can have a fever after the vaccine, some fatigue. And
What would that be related to? Why would you have that?
so with the vaccine at the injection site of the pain, it may be related just because there's something going into that muscle and it's irritating or so. With fever or feeling fatigue, your body is being introduced an antigen basically,
Right.
and so your body is building antibodies against that particular antigen or that particular disease.
So having
your
that
body's
symptoms
just
is
working
not
a little bit.
necessarily a bad thing. It's your body reacting normally like it should react to a foreign substance.
It's a common. I mean,
Okay.
sometimes people don't have any reaction. Their body just makes the antibodies. And some individuals do. Everyone is different and everyone reacts to a vaccine slightly different.
So that's basically what we're doing then. Are these live vaccines that we're giving to people? Are these synthetic? What are these live bacteria? I mean to say, are these synthetic? Are they dead? I mean, are we because people worry about that,
Sure,
like, why are you giving me a disease?
There's different types of vaccines. There's live, which is also known as attenuated, and it's a weakened form. And then there's the killed vaccine, and it's not live at all. It's been reduced from heat or some sort of chemical. But either way, you are building up immunity. And so there's certain live vaccines like MMR,
What is
varicella,
MMR?
measles, mumps, and rubella. Varicella. One of the forms that is now available for influenza is intranasal, and that's also a live vaccine. So it's given in the nostril, in each nostril.
I think that would be me.
Well, considering you have a child that doesn't want to get a vaccination,
Right.
meaning an injection,
Right.
it's a great opportunity to give a vaccine without having to
Without
poke the
having
child.
to poke the child.
Yes.
And I know you're saying child, but I have to say there are adults who are deadly afraid of needles. And if you guys had brought the shot so I could get vaccinated, I was wondering, the message is vaccines are good for you, and here I am shying away from a needle. So maybe it's a good thing that we don't have that visual. But I think it's a really great idea, and I really think that people should get vaccinated, and I think it's wonderful that for those people who are afraid of needles, you have the option. So what kind of common misconceptions have you heard about vaccines? We talked about the autism one.
Right, that's a
Yeah.
huge one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misconceptions out there that you're going to get sick from the flu vaccine, for example. You're not going to get sick. You may not feel well. You know, there are common adverse effects or side effects, if you will. Again, those are common. Some people experience them, some people don't. But you're not going to get the flu virus. If you get it on or near when you had the vaccine, then you were pre-exposed to it. And the reason, again, that you might feel a little bit, punky, you might have a fever, you might have a headache, you might feel malaise and just not really very good. It's because that the vaccine's doing its job. It's building immunity.
Okay. That is true, right? Wow. And the other thing that I was reading about is people get meningitis from getting a vaccine. Have you ever heard of that ever? Would anybody get
I've not
that?
heard of it happening.
Right.
Heard of people worrying about it happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we're trying to dispel, is all these misconceptions, because you're worrying about something that really actually is not going to happen, right?
Sure. I mean, there are serious adverse effects that can occur from any injection of any medicine. Again, I want to reiterate that it's very rare, and what's more common is getting sick from some of these diseases.
Right.
And I can't stress that enough. It's a very rare occurrence, and so when you outweigh those possibilities, absolutely vaccinate.
I think the other thing we just wanted to mention was we've talked a lot about people getting immunized so that they don't get ill. In our profession, one of the reasons we get immunized is so we don't make our patients ill, so that we're not carrying something and exposing other people. So that's a really important thing at the health department, is that our employees who are working with clients also get immunized.
Right. And I would assume that people are grateful that we're doing this, because we're not picking up diseases from other people and giving it to them. And you would think that they would want to carry that out in the community too. You don't want to pick up any diseases and give to other people, or you don't want to be sick yourself. It's funny how you mentioned about healthcare workers getting immunized and stuff. And I got an email yesterday from my employer. When are you getting your flu shot? Because it's so important. We have patients that are immunocompromised all the time, sometimes from cancer and other diseases, and you absolutely don't want to put them at risk. And you meet these people in the community. They are your family members, right? So you really don't want to put them at risk. So are there people, can we get free vaccines at all in the county? Is that possible? Are there groups of people can?
So certain individuals are at a higher risk for potential infections, such as hepatitis B, or children under 18 years of age. And the county does have an immunization clinic within Communicable Disease Services where individuals can come and get vaccinated. You're not necessarily paying for the vaccine, but you are asked to pay a fee, an administration fee. But if
Okay.
someone is unable to pay that, we do not deny services for them. There's
Okay.
also quite a few federally qualified clinics within the county, so if anyone is seeking to a medical provider or a medical home, they can call the county and try to schedule an appointment with a
Okay.
provider and talk to their provider about getting vaccination.
So if you provide me like the number or something, I would have make sure that everybody gets that. Okay. And the clinic you were talking about, that's with the county. Where's that located?
We have a number of clinics.
Okay.
We have one downtown, and then the rest of them are all on the east side of town.
Okay.
I think we have 8 or 9. So there's a variety
that's
of
quite a
locations, and
few.
people can find those by going on our website.
Online, right? Okay. Where can they find safety information? Would they on your website?
That's a great question. There's actually the CDC website is an excellent resource, and you can find all information in I think 21 different languages
Oh my goodness.
in regards to any vaccine that is available in the United States. In addition, the place that you get vaccinated through the county should provide a vaccine information statement, and it gives you all the information that you wanted to know about the pros and the cons with that vaccine, and then what to do if there is a reaction, which again I want to reiterate is rare, and it'll give you that information on the back of the form.
Right. And mentioning rare, and rarely you hear once in a blue moon that a vaccine was recalled. Why would that happen? And if you've taken that, what do you do?
There's a process in place. I think maybe that might have to do with storage. There are strict,
Has
strict
nothing to
guidelines.
do with the vaccine itself.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And I need people to know that. Yeah.
And there are strict guidelines that the county follows if something like that were to occur.
There are different types of vaccines that you get for certain ages, and so people, you can stack them, correct? They can have them all at once. They bundle them. And why is it unsafe to do that? You have a little baby that's been born; they're less than 6 years old or something, and you're expected to get this tons of vaccines all at the same time. Their teeny little body, and that freaks out a lot of parents. So, what would you say to assuage their fears?
So there's currently 17 vaccines against 17 different vaccines that protect against 17 different diseases. And so when the misconception is that the baby is so small and their immune system is not strong enough to get all the vaccinations, what we don't realize is when the baby is born into this world, they automatically get exposed to so many different bacteria, and their immune systems are fairly strong. And so when you take into consideration the vaccine that they're getting, that it's just a raindrop in all the different types of bacteria that they're exposed to almost on a daily basis.
So true.
And so their immune system, and some vaccines actually work better when the child is younger to develop immunity than if you wait if you wait till they're in their teens. Or
I also heard that hepatitis B vaccine is related. I know it's not, but it's out there. People are saying it can cause multiple sclerosis, and I just need people to know that they can go to the CDC website, right, and find information on the fact that it is absolutely safe. There's no evidence that it causes any kind of neurological problems, correct? So is there anything in particular that you guys wanted to share when it comes to vaccines?
Get vaccinated.
Absolutely.
Is there a vaccine drive coming up that we can announce?
Well, well, actually, it's National Influenza Week. So want to throw that out there and definitely promote getting the influenza vaccine. Again, we have not had any reported cases in Oregon, but it is on the rise.
Okay.
And it's not too late to get the vaccine. I also want to reiterate that. Very, very important to get immunized. Just to go ahead and protect yourself as well as family members. There are kiddos that can't have the vaccine until 6 months of age, so they're at an increased risk for contracting that. So we want to encourage family members for that very reason to go ahead and get immunized. In addition, people who have chronic diseases, are at an increased risk or who have compromised immune systems. And so we need to protect ourselves as well as people in the community that have Absolutely.
Yeah,
So.
and I really, I'm so glad that you guys came so you could talk about this really important topic. What I was going to ask you, and it just skipped right through my head. I've been having a lot of brain farts today, so pardon me. Oh my God, did I just say that? So, what's being done to monitor vaccines so that we know that we're getting absolutely safe vaccines?
So anytime an individual reports a side effect after or an adverse reaction to a vaccine, there's a website called VAERS, and there's a form that they complete, and that gets sent to the vaccine department, and they review them. And so if they notice a trend specifically regarding a specific vaccine, they'll do more work on it, and they'll do more investigation to see if if the problem is within the vaccine itself, which a lot of times it's not. Vaccines nowadays, they're made safely. They're made more safely now than they have been in the future. They're purified. There's specific standards that they need to meet, and so the vaccines are much safer than they have ever been. So
right. So like you said, get immunized, get your vaccines, and should people be getting the pneumonia vaccination as well, since they're getting the flu vac, or is that only for specific populations?
I think that it's specific to specific risk groups.
Okay.
And so and more information is available on CDC, but if anyone has a question, they're more welcome to go on CDC, but it's specifically for individuals in a specific risk population.
Do we have a hotline in the county that people can call?
If they have any questions regarding vaccines, they can always call our office, and I can give you that phone number, or they can also visit our website. We have an immunization website, and as well as CDC or Oregon State immunizations as well.
State immunizations. Okay.
And talk to your provider. You know, make an appointment, schedule an appointment to talk about vaccines.
Right. And nurse practitioners that have their own independent practices in primary care would have information about this, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. We are reaching the end of our show. I'm being told that we should wrap things up. It's been a pleasure. I'm so delighted you guys came, and thank you for waiting while we set up. I truly appreciate that. So our show is over for today. We shall be seeing you next time. Do please find us on Facebook and YouTube. And if you have any questions, you can call Multnomah County. One of these lovely nurses here would help you. Or they would direct you to the person that's going to help you. Thank you. This is Sonia Justice with the Royal Nurses Section. Until next time, bye-bye.